still sharing your screen too. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining Lightworkers Secrets to Success. So we are here Friday, and we are going to be picking 3 more trapped emotions that are that we're going to release for the collective. So today we're going to be releasing the trapped emotion of worthless. Now, we have released this before on February 22nd, but each trapped emotion can have a different definition. So for this definition is without goodness of character. And as we were going through these trapped emotions, it was kind of like a theme. And I will read you what they are and then let you kind of think about what they could be and what we thought about them. So the second one is hatred. And the definition of that is self-hatred that creates addictions. And then the third one is taken for granted. And that definition is feel treated with careless indifference. So as I was going through this, I was just thinking it's kind of, I think, healing the collectiveness of, some of the addictions that's ready to be released. And it doesn't have to be drug addiction. It doesn't have to be alcohol addiction. It could be any kind of addiction that you have, whether it could be addiction to social media, addiction to gossiping, addiction to trauma and chaos, and addiction to chocolate or eating or not eating, right? You have the both extremes on both sides. So just releasing what is ready to be released right now from the collective. And we're just so thankful that you're here and that we're able to provide this healing today. So I'm going to be releasing first the trapped emotion of worthless and then without goodness of character. And then I think what we'll do is, if Pamela's up for it, we will have her download us with her theta healing skills of what Divine's definition of what is goodness of character for each of us, if you choose to. So during that part, if you do want to have that, just say yes. So I'm going to douse these out. So we're going to release the trapped emotion of worthless and without goodness of character. And of course, when I release, I yawn. So, all right. So we're just going to release that. And then Pamela, are you good with maybe downloading us with Divine's definition of goodness of character is?
Definitely.
Okay. So this is going.
So for those who are here or for those who see this later, you have to say yes out loud that you want that in order for your subconscious to accept the download.
So this is a collective. When I'm dousing out, we're actually creating like an energy vortex. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer. If I was working just on someone individually, sometimes it can take a long time too. I remember my one friend I was working on, I think it was dousing literally for 12 minutes on one thing. So I was just like, whoa, this is like pretty strong. So I don't think that this is going to go for 12 minutes, but it does last a little longer when we're doing it for the collective. Anything coming up for you, Adam, with the trapped emotion of worthless and, what it means to be without goodness of character?
Nothing right now, no.
Okay.
The one thing that I would encourage people to look at, because people don't always see this as character, but a lot of times we're really good about keeping our word to other people, but not keeping our word to ourselves, which is a character trait, right? So looking at that, and then if you can look at that and say, yeah, I'm guilty of that, then do some forgiveness for yourself, for doing that, for not keeping your word to yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And I really like how you brought that up, because it's one of the things that we talk about, like in our roundtable meetings, and keeping keeping ourselves accountable by showing up for ourselves every day so that we can show up for others. All right, perfect. Well, that one, well, just releasing that is, well, is super draining. So hope we can get some energy. All right. So Pamela, did you want to download us or did you already do that?
I already did that.
Oh, perfect. Yay. Okay, cool. So the next one is hatred. This is self-hatred. So this is self-hatred that creates that addiction to whatever you're addicted to. So whether that be drugs or alcohol, whether that be cigarettes, whether that be chocolate or overeating or, whatever it is, it comes from a place of void. And then, um, excuse me, guys, it's already releasing, but I was thinking, Pamela, should we download us with the divine's definition of like what it feels like to have unconditional love for ourselves?
Sure, unconditional love and that it's safe and it's possible.
Okay, cool. Does that sound pretty reasonable?
Yeah.
To kind of because after we release like the worthless and like the hatred, those are really strong, like very low vibrational trapped emotions. And I know like when we release them, I always like to fulfill that almost that void in, like bringing in the happiness, the joy, the light, everything that we can bring in to fill up that person.
Right, and that is the one I will wait until you have done the release before I'll do the
Okay.
download.
Okay. Was releasing right now. Sorry, Adam, you just get to come on and yawn with us.
I know.
He's sharing the intent with us, so that's,
Yeah. Well, of course. Yeah. All right. So this is just going, going, going. Self-hatred, that is pretty common, you know. You can hate yourself for making certain decisions and certain choices or making choices and then maybe not acting on choices or decisions that you've made. So, yeah. So I think it's really important to release this. Still going, guys.
Well, I never really understand or understand hatred, especially self-hatred. I sorry, I should back up. I do get it, but I guess the question is why? Why do we put ourselves through that?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, if you really don't like something, if it's possible, change it. I mean, it sounds easier said than done, and I understand that, but I mean, there's some things, obviously, transgender people going through changes. I mean, that's obviously a longer thing and it takes some time, and I'm respectful if someone wants to do that and, that makes them feel better, then that's their right to do that because that is their body to do that. But just, hatred in general, I just, the feelings and the emotion and the energy that's behind that, it's so heavy. And especially when my wife says I hate that, and I'm like, are you sure you hate it? No, I don't hate it. And when you just really analyze that word and you think about that word just for a moment on how heavy and thick that word is, I avoid that word at all costs. I don't think there's really anything that I hate anymore. There's some things that I dislike.
Yeah.
But hate is such a powerful word.
Mm-hmm. I think you have to be conscious of that word because I know like when like just for me like growing up we're like, oh my gosh, I hate that, right? But we're not saying it like we hate it. We're just like, oh my gosh, like I totally hate when that happens, like that kind of stuff. So I guess for me, it didn't have that heaviness like some people would like if someone's like, I hate you, like that would be more like way more heavy than if I'm just saying it in like a joking matter. But like you said, words are very powerful, and you can either speak life into something or you can speak kind of like death, like black magic, right? So we have to be so careful. And hate is one of those words that is a really slippery slope for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you, Adam. So Pamela, would you like to download us with Divine's definition of what it feels like to have unconditional love?
Definitely take care of that. That was huge shifts.
I know. I never burp and I burped. Like, whoa. Whoa. Well, I thank you so much. I mean, that in itself, if nothing else from this healing, I mean, that in itself is so major and can help so many people to feel that unconditional love for themselves. A lot of people try to look outside of themselves for love. And so I appreciate that. Thank you, Pamela. All right, so this last one is taken for granted, and it's to feel treated with careless indifference. So we're gonna release the trapped emotion of taken for granted and feels treated with careless indifference. So anytime you felt like you were treated indifferent, whether it's from like a parent or a boss or a spouse, or even kids can make you feel indifferent. You know, sometimes kids favor one parent over the other, right? So we just want to release all of that from the collective. Excuse me. Whoa. Really great shifts today.
Oh, yep.
So I'm wondering, what can we put in place of this, Pamela?
I don't know about in place of, but I'm thinking we also need to add in there just forgiveness, of the ability to forgive those who may have made us feel that way,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Well,
Because a lot of people
forgiveness
will
is
hold
so
on to the
important.
anger, right? And a lot of people will
Yeah.
hold on to the resentment or the anger. So just to remove that,
Well, and
release the
that's,
resentment, and
yeah.
give the forgiveness.
And as you're talking, it's almost like it becomes your story, right? It becomes your story like, oh, well, I do this because my mom, treated me this way, or my dad treated me this way, or my mom was in my life, or my dad wasn't in my life, or,
Right,
or whatever, right? But it becomes your story, and then it becomes kind of disempowering to yourself. So
right.
just finding your power, um, getting your power back, you know?
Well, and that goes into even like you like people look for love outside themselves, but they also look for happiness outside themselves, and that has to come from within
Hmm.
too. So a
Right.
lot of that's the same
Yeah.
thing. You've got to have that sense of
Hmm.
your own worth and that you're valuable
Mm-hmm.
and you're lovable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let me go and take care of that first now while you're doing that.
That'd be awesome. Thank you, Pamela. So important for us to feel those within inside. And it's not something that happens just overnight. People that are on like um
Ooh,
self-development, right? Like they're always looking to improve, but not everybody picks up a self-development book or a healing book or whatever. I started my journey of healing like gosh, like probably 20 years ago, I guess, or um and it was just within that I started like looking at myself like, oh, I could change these things. I could forgive people for what they did to me. Like, I didn't know. You grow up just holding grudges sometimes against people. And so now I'm a completely different person from healing, and that's what makes this work so important to do. And that's why we come here, every Monday, every Friday, and to share our gifts with everybody on YouTube who wants to accept them, um, because healing, it's so important and so vital for your health, mentally, physically, spiritually. Am I missing any of them?
Well, and healing isn't also an instantaneous thing. Like, it's just, it would be nice if we could just snap our fingers and it was gone, but there's so many layers, right? And it's just like that onion, you keep peeling it back and peeling it back. And, when you're taken for granted, how does that feel for you? How does that sit with you when you feel that someone is just taking you for granted, right? Do you feel invisible? Do you feel like, you know, um, and I don't think anyone ever intentionally means to do that. And so, being able to let that go and being able to just know that that's love and respect if someone actually takes you for granted because they can count on you. So that's just another way to look at it. If someone's taking me for granted, it's because they know that they can count on me no matter what, that I'm always going to be there. And if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And yes, they may not give me praise and thanks for it. And I don't know, for those of you that watch The Office, I mean, there's a really good episode where Dwight got fired from the office and he started working at that Staples or wherever it was. And then all of a sudden they realized that all the plants in the office started dying and the garbage wasn't being collected. And that's because Dwight was doing it, but no one recognized him for it, right? No one gave him praise for doing all that, all those little things that really matter.
Yeah.
And then they realized that he was gone and they had to bring him back because he was the guy that cared most about the office.
Wow.
Even though what he did was kind of like, yeah, it definitely needs to be fired. But here he was just caring about the office.
I don't know if I've ever seen an episode, so.
Oh yeah, you should watch it. It's funny, but some of it's a little far-fetched. But still it's good. And they have teachable moments in there for sure.
Pamela, were you able to download us with all that juicy stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Yay. If anyone has any questions, please post in the comments. If there's something that you're struggling with, please let us know. We can try to help you. Because if you're struggling, then other people are struggling too. And we would like to help you with that. So, well, that is all we have for today. We thank you so much for being here, and please stay tuned for Monday. Not sure what the topic is yet. We try to interview people. If you know anybody that would love to be interviewed, please reach out to us so we can get them on our calendar and on our schedule. And we'll be back here next Friday for the Pamela and my dynamic duo card reading for the collective. If you haven't got a chance to watch that, please go back and watch that. We did that about an hour ago. And we'll be back next week to release 3 more trapped emotion from the emotion code chart for the collective. And we just thank you so much for being here. Have a great weekend.